And I am joined with an underground legend. His name is Travis Egedy of the Pictureplane variety.
Yes, hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here on the pod.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Doming our demons.
That's fucking right. Travis is an underground legend, a physical mystic, and a digital wonder. He helped to shape the genre that's known as Witch House and emerged from the DIY warehouse scene in Denver, which is where I first met you.
Yeah.
But to me, like, Trav, you've always given me the vibe of like the underground Dos Equis guy. Like whenever I think about you, you've got this sort of mystery that clouds
the
around
most
you.
interesting man in the world.
Yeah. But like the alt indie man version of energy.
It's true. I've been around and seen a lot of things for sure.
Yeah.
I've just been immersed in underground music and art for a long time now, for sure.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could share with the audience one random story from all of the like anthology of the experiences you've had, like anything that was like unique or bizarre that comes to mind. I know you were talking about how you and Skrillex like opened for Avicii randomly and you were...
True. That was at a festival in New Orleans in 2011. That was like a crazy like 48 hours of my life. I had been at South by Southwest where I was like hanging out with Grimes. We did like a cool show together and we're like had been awake for like 24 hours, just like going mad, like all over Austin, Texas. I had to catch an early morning flight to New Orleans on like no sleep. Went to this festival like right out of the airplane basically in New Orleans and set up and performed. It was this festival called Buku Festival. It's like 2011. And yeah, on that same stage, like after me was like Skrillex and Wiz Khalifa and Avicii like headlined on that same stage.
And Wiz Khalifa also amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, I got to like meet and hang out with Avicii a little bit, like backstage. We rode in a van together back to our hotel and stuff. But just like a surreal time in my life for sure. I was very like busy flying all over, playing all over the world at that time a lot. It was cool.
I feel like I remember some sort of like Austin South by Southwest story where like you would open for Salem and that lineup was also insane, or did it?
That was maybe in Austin once. I can't even remember. That's funny. I definitely like, there was one show in New York that Salem was on or around. I remember hanging out with them backstage. I don't even know if they played. I actually don't know if I've ever played a show with Salem.
Okay.
But definitely, you know, especially back in those times, they were just around a lot. We were around in the same social circles and stuff for sure. They did like a famous South by Southwest show that like or like infamous really, that was like at the Fader Fort. It was like a very famous concert of theirs.
Yes.
That it was like so like off the wall. It's like since become very like legendary, but at the time it got tons of bad press. People didn't know what to think of it because it was like he's on stage like kind of mumbling and just like it was very different of what you normally see on like a big headlining festival stage.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, it's iconic at this point, you know.
It's like Tchaikovsky's Rite of Spring.
Totally. Exactly. People like at the time, unless you were like super into that shit and like knew what was happening, I think people were like, what is this? Like, this is fucked. Like, this is not music, you know, or like, it's so bad, but it's not bad at all. It was like, just like they were on a totally different level, you know?
I'm curious to know, like, you know how in the Bronze Age, bronze kind of like sprouted up in different areas all like simultaneously.
Sure.
Do you think there was like a Witch House Bronze Age where like they popped up at the same time, or how do you think that was getting influenced? Because I know you were doing it in your lane in Denver, and then Salem had popped up. I don't even know where they're from, like a UK artist.
They're American. I think maybe there is some truth to that. Some sort of, you know, like cosmic, like ideas like manifest in different places at the same time or something. A big part of the Witch House scene, especially in the early days, it was just like totally DIY electronic music, you know, that was like lo-fi and like kind of busted sounding, you know, that, and that was it wasn't necessarily just like one influence or something. It was a lot of things at once, but a really like broken DIY sound for sure.
Yeah, so almost like the physical spaces that were getting fostered was the Bronze Age factor. It was like they were most likely working within the same systems like you were. Like I also was, but just like in that warehouse rhinoceropolis
Yes.
scene.
That those warehouses definitely like birthed like a sound for sure. David Byrne wrote a whole book about that, how like places influence the music that's coming out of these places, or like this physical space, like where the music is coming from. That's like what's creating genres basically of like music all throughout history, like even going back to, you know, orchestras and like playing in like classical music comes from these big huge theaters, you know.
Yeah. And what do you think the importance is of physical spaces with regards to art? Because I know something I've noticed about you is that you are like fascinated by liminal spaces, especially the convergence between like real life and digital realms. And so I wonder, like, you have this fascination with liminal spaces, but then you also have a manifesto that says the physical and real is a feeling, and that like the real tangible world is just as important as any other realm.
Completely. I mean, physical space, you know, is like crucial for artists, especially like young artists, to have a space to be able to work in or to like make mistakes and like find yourself is so crucial. You know, I've always been like a huge supporter like of the importance of DIY spaces for youth, and like, cause that's what breeds good art. You know, you have to have like a physical space to make noise in or to make art in. And if things are so expensive or like unavailable to youth, like, I don't know what you're supposed to do if you want to make art. You know, you have to have a space and like a community space to do it in.
I mean, it could be argued that like digitally we have everything is like rentable. So in some regard, it's accessible, but it's like it still does not.
That's the money thing though too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if renting some huge studio space, and like, yeah, of course you can do that, but that's like out of reach for a lot of young artists, I think.
Oh no, I mean like renting software. Like you can rent Ableton for $10, you know, for
No
however
doubt.
much
I mean, music production is definitely, you don't need a ton of space for that at all. You can do it all in your bedroom. That's for sure.
Yeah, but at the same
But the
time,
like
yeah.
performance and like community aspect, I think it's one thing to, you know, you can make, you know, tons of albums on your laptop in Ableton, of course, when you don't need like much space for that. But the community space and like interacting with your peers that are also creating and like sharing work and like in a physical space like that is really important.
Yeah, I completely agree. And just like to catch up the audience, you and me come from literally the same warehouse space that you birthed called Rhinoceropolis.
Yeah.
But I was spending time in your world. I was going to band practice. I was going to different parties. There were legendary shows that happened there. I know examples of like Crystal Castles would come and play a set after their main set at the Gothic or like at the Ogden.
Yeah.
Mac DeMarco, right?
He probably played in there. I don't know.
I think he did.
He probably.
I'm pretty sure he did. And I remember I was like at band practice one night and Lil Peep was like just starting out his career and he was about to play adjacent. And
I was living in New York at that time, but yeah, you can watch Lil Peep performed in the kitchen at Rhinoceropolis.
Yeah,
that was like one of his first shows ever.
Yeah.
He was living in Denver at the time.
Oh, that's right. He lived in Denver.
Yeah, before he moved to LA. Mm-hmm. And it's like where his music career started was in Denver, actually. He like moved out there and just like started living with all these producers and making all this music there and stuff. I think also like my friend David Winkler was like the one who was like kind of booking all those kind of like SoundCloud rap type shows at that time. I think like Suicide Boys played in Rhinoceropolis too, which is fucking insane. And like a bunch of other people from that era before they got really famous, like played in Rhinoceropolis, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's dope. Okay, I wanted to know if I can actually take a moment and introduce who I am and the reason why I asked you on the podcast. It trails actually perfectly into this next segment I want to ask you about. So my name is Midas MSL. I'm an author of the book Dom Your Demons, which is a 4-step symbolic framework for understanding your darkness and facing your shadow. And the reason that I wanted to ask musicians and artists onto this podcast is because nobody understands the shadow better than a real fucking artist. And I believe that understanding your darkness is just as spiritual as like the love and light community. And I wanted to talk to you about how people from the scene where we came from are really intrinsically connected to their shadow. Like, and that's one of the actual dangers of participating in that scene is you're like closer to substance. You're closer to a realm that most people are afraid to touch. And like,
well, that's what all good art throughout the ages, it's a true artist is someone that is like going inside themselves and like bringing that out into the world, or like making things, bringing it to the public, like going inside themselves, going into that like well of information, like, or the shadow, you could say, like whatever that is inside of yourself, and making things from that and birthing it into the world.
Yeah. I was watching a Lil Nas X music video. Okay. And I've noticed that there's this like trend of artists right now really trying to shock rock. Like they will do whatever they can to get like Satan doing a lap dance on Jesus's dick, and it's crazy and it's so nuts. And I noticed that it is not compelling to me because there's nothing actually emotionally honest about it. There's something about it where I'm like, no, the reason why these artists where I came from were so fucking cool is because they were actually connected to the shadow thing that they're making visuals about.
Sure. The whole shock thing, at least in the pop world, they're wanting to go viral. They're wanting as much, controversy just makes a lot of money basically for them. So that's all that is really,
But there's like a difference between them and like Marilyn Manson. Like that person is connected to their darkness, and like that's why you bought it, that's why you believed it. And when it's just this like purely commodified marketed thing, I'm like, you're missing the point of what makes this transgressive.
Completely. Maybe for Lil Nas X was like the transgression was, that he's like a gay rapper. I think in like the mainstream, that's still somewhat of like a taboo for like a lot of people, which is weird, but it is.
Sure. Yeah.
And to have like a gay rapper like lap dancing on Satan or whatever, I think, yeah, it is shocking to some people, which is funny, but that shit makes money, like I said. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so like when I think about the occult, I think about maybe more of the darker side of mysticism. When I think about more like enlightened communities, I think about something that goes over on the different polarity and spectrum. And I know that like in your clothing line, Alien Body, you have an apparent visual interest in paranormal activity, the occult, maybe the media that creates the stories around that, like the magazines that you see that like hit the grocery store and it's like Crocodile Man turns into a mummy.
Literally, that's like the biggest influence on Alien Body, I think, are those old like magazines I'd see when I was a kid in like the grocery store, like Bat Boy and Cave, that shit. I always found them so fascinating.
Yes. Okay, so you were telling me that like you had a fascination with the mystic and the occult, and then there was like a moment in your life where you had like a rift with it, where like you kind of strayed away from your relationship to notions of the unseen realm because of things that you had seen in the community.
Maybe just sort of like started like losing interest in it. It'd be like going from like being like super interested in it, and like I'd have all these books on like channeling and like communicating with spirits or like aliens. Like I was really into like this super like far out stuff, like lots of extraterrestrials, UFOs, like that kind of but like that fused with like new age, like mysticism, like new consciousness, like new birthing of a new age type things, and I'm still super interested in these things, but maybe as I got older, I sort of started like, yeah, maybe losing some interest, or like kind of like seeing through some of it as like a little bit of like bullshit, or like just people grifting a lot. But no, I wouldn't say that I've like fallen out from that or something, but it's just like I'm a little more like disconcerting, or like a little more skeptical of certain things nowadays than I used to be when I was really young. Like just like I would just believe anything, like, oh my God, like I just read the craziest books and like believe it, everything,
Yeah.
but a little more disconcerting nowadays.
Yes. Okay. So you didn't necessarily believe that you were bringing back the essence of Stevie Nicks when you were making your Goth Star video, and there was a ritual in the music video, and you were like doing a fucking seance. Like she is alive, obviously, but
That was all my friend Sterling Crispin. Like, I think he had that idea. It was like a seance to like channel her like energy or something, like, because of, yeah, she is alive. It's not like we were bringing her back from the dead or something, but it was like, yeah, getting the Stevie Nicks energy or something.
yeah, fuck
Which
yeah.
is funny.
Yeah, amazing, incredible concept. And actually, weird connection is that my partner at the time was in your music video, which just shows Denver was just such a small town.
Oh, no doubt. Especially like, I mean, our little community,
Yeah.
it was just all the art freaks,
Yep.
And Denver was a small city at that time. It's gotten so much bigger, like literally more people. Like the population of Denver has like doubled or tripled since those times.
It's so different.
Yeah.
It's so different. Okay, I have a question around like the realm of conspiracy theories. Are you still like interested in conspiracy theories? Is there any one that still has like your heart?
I mean, totally. What's so crazy about like the like conspiracy theory stuff is like conspiracy theories used to be like cool. It was like more like interesting, and like something happened where like all the conspiracy stuff like started getting really like conservative, like leaning like super far right, and like all the like the QAnon stuff, which is like this sort of like grandest conspiracy, and like the like Pizzagate, all this stuff, like it, and like Trump, all this, it's bizarre what happened to like the conspiracy realm. It all like somehow all these people, they're like Republicans or something. It's like bizarre to me.
Yeah.
And they see Trump as this like God or something that's going to like save the world or whatever, and like expose all of the, the deep state, this stuff. It's like, that's all the conspiracies now have this like slant to it, which I find quite bizarre. It used to be like, I was into, things like reptilians and, like alien,
shout out reptilians,
conspiracy stuff, which is a little more like fun. But of course, classic conspiracies, 9/11 and like JFK assassination. I mean, there's like definitely, I feel like we're definitely not told like the truth of a lot of like major events that have gone down, for sure.
Absolutely. We're starting to learn that like reality is stranger than fiction.
Most definitely.
It's fucking weird.
It is. I mean, what's crazy, talk more about conspiracy, like all the like the QAnon stuff, there was this whole conspiracy that it was like a pedophile cabal like running the world, and like that kind of came true with like all the Epstein shit, like, but like none of those people have been like faced any sort of like repercussions or consequences, and all these QAnon people, it's like dude, that's your guy, like Trump is your boy, like, and he's like involved in the exact like conspiracy that you're talking about, but they don't want to admit that at all or anything. It's like none of it makes sense to me.
No, now it's become real. Now it's become debunked.
Real. Yes,
but bunked. It's become bunked.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Like one conspiracy theory that you would think would have my heart, but it just doesn't. And I find actually so much humor in the fact that I'm like so disinterested by it, is like there's this whole community of like channelers on YouTube who are like channeling the aliens, and they keep saying things like they're coming, they're gonna be here any day now. And like whenever I see one of those videos on YouTube, I'm like, just text me when it fucking happens. Like I literally do not, based on the insanity of what's happening on my own planet, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck that these aliens are coming. Like, when they do, just hit me up on WhatsApp and we'll talk. Like,
that's the kind of stuff that like kind of got me like a little disillusioned with some of that world. It's just like, it's always like, oh, it's coming, like it's about to happen. You know, it's like
they're edging us.
They say that,
aliens.
and it's just years and years go by, and like, you know, it's the same shit. But like, that's a way for people to sell their books or sell their shit, you know, because they're like, oh, you know, I have insider knowledge that this is coming soon. You know, like, listen to me, buy my stuff, you know. It's crazy.
Yeah. Actually, like a funny part of doing ceremonial magic so religiously for like 2 years in a row was the one thing that happened to me was like, I was doing ritual and magic based on the teachings of Damien Eccles, like every day for 2 hours. And the one result of that was like, if anything spooky did happen, I never was spooked out by it. Like, I did an exorcism on a house that was like haunted.
Whoa.
And then I had an experience that night where I fell asleep with my eyes open and then I was bleeding from my eye. And it's the only time in my life I've ever bled from my literal eye.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did the blood come out of your eye?
I don't know, but I think it was because like 3 hours before I did an exorcism of
Holy
a murder
shit,
or
that's
something.
tripped out.
Yeah. And
how did you meet or get involved with Damien Eccles?
So I was the audio engineer for his first teachings. So he had been out of prison for 5 years. I did the podcast.
He was doing like an audio book or something? Or?
Yeah. And he had never taught magic publicly until that moment. And so we flew to this publishing house where I was working, and then I hit record, and he would do the work. He would like do the rituals, and I would feel him from like across the glass. I would be sitting there. I have like chills when I talk about it, or I'd be like,
what a crazy experience. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like in COVID, my whole life like went up in flames. Like, there were literally roommates who were trying to make me like shit in the backyard. Like, they were like horrible people. It was just a bad situation. And so I was like, you know what? I don't have anything else to do. I just broke up with my girlfriend. I'm just going to practice ceremonial magic all day. And the second I did, I got like, somebody calls me up and is like, hey, I want to buy you a guitar. And then the next week, somebody's like, hey, I'm going to build a sauna in your backyard. Like, I'm going to like give you a extension to your apartment, and we're going to install a jacuzzi on the premises. I was like, amazing. But like, okay, I was telling you this because
wow,
the thing about doing this magic is that when spooky shit came up, I was like untouched by it. I felt like it didn't scare me at all. And I felt like it created some kind of shield around me.
Yeah, maybe you had like built up like a cool defense or something.
Yeah. So that's really my experience where it started to get real for me, was like based on discipline or like based on ritual.
That's amazing. Good for you, honestly.
Yeah.
I've never really done too much of my own like ritual magic. I've always been more of a like chaos magician, you know, like where like just daily life, like going through the world, you know. I've never like sat down and done like rituals necessarily, or like, but I, you know, more or less consider myself somewhat of like a magician, but that's like, it's always been tied in with like my art and like creation kind of. And I feel more aligned with like chaos magic, that it's not like one thing or like not a ritual at all. It's just more like spontaneous, like creation magic stuff.
Yeah. Based on the affirming of the energy that you're outputting,
Yeah.
and your identity and your nervous system, and how they're all like confluencing together.
Yeah, and just navigating through the world, or like walking around the city. I don't know. To me, it's like I can do like magical acts that way. I always found like old school like ritual magic to be a little like stale, or like I maybe didn't have like the patience for that or something.
What was an example of you like walking around the city and then magic happened?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'd have to think, or like a good story or something. But
okay, I have another question then, which is like, did manifestation play a role at all before you started to blow up? Like, were you throwing a lot of energy into your intention of your project getting picked up, or was it just a natural, organic output of what you were making?
Maybe there was some manifesting there because I really did like want it bad. I wanted like my music to be like heard by people, or like, you know, I wanted to travel and like perform and play shows and like, but that was just my entire life was like focused on like producing and like making art and music. And I think I did manifest it for myself a little bit just because I wanted it so bad. I wanted to be an artist or like make a living on my art and stuff. And, you know, that's what I did. But it seemed to kind of come organically. But I think it came organically just because I was like working at it really hard. Like,
Yeah. It's also a timing thing, like the Bronze Age whole concept that we were talking about with like Salem popping up and you popping up at the same time. Like there was some sort of energy around the genre that you guys were creating simultaneously that like also may have served as this kind of like wind or momentum that helped take you off.
totally. I mean, I was definitely like at the forefront of kind of like DIY electronics. Like there was no rule book or anything. And like, honestly, you know, things like Ableton and like these tools that are now like super accessible to everyone, they weren't even really like around yet. Like I was using like some really crude like computer software and like recording in a really like wrong way, like through like a headphone jack. Like I didn't even have an audio interface or anything. It was like really lo-fi, like crude recording, just me like on like a keyboard through a distortion pedal, like
Yep.
singing through like a microphone with like a sock on it and shit, you know. It
No.
was really lo-fi. So
I remember that there was this CD-ROM called Hip Hop EJ, and it was pre-Ableton. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know about Fruity Loops, and it only you record at 90 beats per minute.
Whoa.
Like, yeah, and it was all their samples. Like you could only choose from their samples, and I made a 10-song EP of beats, and like
that's sick.
and the microphone was a headphone jack.
Yeah. That's very similar to how I started making music for sure. And like this program that I was using was called like Magic's Music Maker. It wasn't limited to 1 BPM like that, but it was very like minimal. I mean, it's basically like Fruity Loops, but like way worse, like crude software.
Was it a CD-ROM?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, gang.
I got it at Best Buy when I was like a teenager.
Yeah, I got
like,
Hip Hop EJ at Best Buy.
Yeah. Oh my God.
For like $10 or something. Yeah. Wait.
The kids today don't know about that shit. That's some old school shit and really maybe showing our age a little bit. But
Yeah.
that's how it was back in the way day, you know?
I know. We're just so cute, so it's really hard to tell sometimes. But like that is what happened. Oh my God, that's so funny. Do you like did you make Goth Star on the CD-ROM shit?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Goth Star is like a really old track. Like I literally like started making that song like when I was like a teenager. When I first like sampled that Fleetwood Mac song. It was like literally off of like a CD that I got from my friend in high school. And you know, it's like on this old like Dell PC computer, like desktop that I had. And Goth Star came about. I kind of like went back into like this old project file and started playing with it again. But I had originally sampled that song like a really long time ago when I was probably like 18 or 19 or something. And that's what like became Goth Star. And yeah, I probably made that song in like 2007 or something. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. 2008.
I've heard that a lot though about artists that like I remember watching Tool before Tool was Tool, and they had a video where like some of their hit songs, they had been playing it for like 5 years prior.
There's this crazy old video of like Maynard and on like a public access TV in the 80s. And it wasn't members of Tool, but like Maynard is the singer of this funny looking band. Everyone looks ridiculous. And it's like this amazing old footage. It's from like 1987 or something.
Yep.
And he's doing some like Tool vocals for sure, like of songs that would later become Tool songs. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that shit. That's really good. And they have their band has some like really funny name too. It's like, I don't know. I forget what they're called. It's like an absurd name. But that footage is sick.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of late 80s, early 90s, I want to talk about the most important thing that we can discuss in this podcast, which is how you and I both share a deep understanding on a psychological level beyond space and time of the 1991 live action rendition of the movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, shit. Yeah. It's a masterpiece for real.
I just think it's so funny because you're like the only person I've ever met where I was like, this guy understands how deep in your psyche the scene from TMNT where they go into the Shredder's bad guy lair and everybody's like skateboarding and playing poker.
It's the dream. It's the ultimate dream of like a young boy's fantasy, like of what like a cool hangout place is.
Yes, I should have known I was gay then.
Yeah, it's definitely like a little boy fantasy for sure, and that's sick. I love that.
Yeah, but I think that it's like layered into my brain in some ways.
Me too. Yeah, and we would joke at Rhinoceropolis that was what we were trying to do, is create like Shredder's lair. Basically.
Amazing,
for sure.
Yes, and you always have to mention the scene where he offers them cartons of cigarettes. Not necessarily like a good idea for the children, but he's like, "Do you want regular or do you want menthols?"
Yeah. Like, anything you want, you got it. Like, anything you want to do it. Like, you got any cigarettes? It's like regular or menthol.
Yeah, anything you want to do it.
Yeah. Like that movie, I've probably seen it like 100 times. It really is maybe like my favorite movie. It's so good. And it's not like ironic or something. It's like a genuinely really, really good movie.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. We should do a viewing while we're here of TMNT. It's been like way too long.
I'm really into Magic the Gathering, like the card game. And, Magic literally just did like a Ninja Turtles set. It's like a crossover. So, and I've been playing it online like you can play it on a computer, and it's like, so I've been playing with all like the turtles and stuff, like with Magic cards. It's fire. It's really fun.
Fuck yeah. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to keep it brief because I don't want to be a bummer. But I feel like it like deserves a space in the conversation, is that we, from that Denver warehouse scene, had a friend who passed named Colin Ward. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I wanted to bring him up today was because I was thinking about it. Colin was a brilliant artist, and I believe that he was penning hyperpop before it existed.
Yeah.
In the same Bronze Age way, he was like literally like tapping into the super conscious of hyperpop before it happened.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
And I just I don't know, I just wanted to talk about making a point of realizing that if you are ahead of the curve of something, it's really important to remember the value of your ideas, even if people aren't mirroring that back to you.
It's hard to be ahead of shit or like ahead of your time, you know?
Yeah.
I like Colin, at least, like, you know, there was like a really solid like community around Colin that like loved his music, and like, you know, he was celebrated in our little underground world for sure. But yeah, definitely like ahead of the curve. I'm sure he struggled with, I don't know. I think things got dark for him, but it wasn't always like that. I mean, he was a very like loved person, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I just remember I would talk with him and he would give me this energy of like, I'm looking for connections. I can't catch a break. And I think it was because he was just like a little bit too ahead of the fringe. And if we would have been able to see him continue on his trajectory, it would have like caught up with him.
He was the kind of like brilliant artist too that was like so brilliant that they're like firing on all these cylinders at once, and like he never was able to kind of like really, well, it's like unmarketable genius, you know. He's just like creating like every moment of every day music and art and stuff, and it was just like he was like a wild child, wild energy. And it's hard to make money or like support yourself when you're just like creating just like chaos all the time, like, but it's like brilliant chaos. But it's hard to live in like society that way.
Yeah, he was like a tornado.
Yeah, I think, you know, and there's a lot of like really brilliant people like that. They're like so brilliant that they don't know how to like function in like the real world, you know. It's like hard for them.
Yeah.
Which is sad. That sucks, because those people should be like, they should have it all, because, you know, they're brilliant and like bringing like beautiful things into the world. But society doesn't really know how to handle that sometimes.
I've been thinking about this concept of like the center of your center of gravity needs to be inside of yourself. And I think that's something that's like really tempting, is for when you're in a scene or when you're participating in an aesthetic, it's really easy to be like performing for the scene or the aesthetic. And it's really important that you keep your center of gravity inside of yourself. And you, when you're ahead of the curve, need to believe in your ideas like twice as hard as the average fucking socialite, because that's the only way that something is going to manifest in reality. A good example for me is like Tim and Eric. Like, they were insane people.
Totally. Yeah.
They were insane people. And they must have had to really dig their heels in before that shit took off. And now it's like the editing style of every YouTube person you've ever seen.
Yeah, they were really, really influential. They were influential in their day, but then they've become even more influential as time has gone on, for sure.
Yeah.
Who knows how that show got picked up or started, really. I'd be curious about their origins, kind of, because, yeah, they were batshit insane, for sure.
I feel like they were like trying to model it after a PBS, like a really shitty PBS show was like their model idea.
Totally.
But they did everything they could to make it as unpalatable as humanly possible and as insane as possible. And like, the more you take a risk, the more of a payoff that shit has if it picks up.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to just like believe in yourself as an artist. If you're like really in tune with yourself, or like, you know what you should be doing, like, even if people don't catch on to it right away, or it takes, you know, most good art takes years and years of like doing it all the time. Or, you know, I think a lot of people today, they're told, you know, they want to like get famous overnight or like go viral, or, you know, like they want all the attention right away without like doing the work, or like understanding that you can toil in obscurity for years before anyone starts noticing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, that's actually normal, you know?
Yeah. Well, and if you take off too early, then you're super controllable.
Yeah. Or you can just burn out way too fast before you even have a chance to figure out what is going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think about, I don't know, no shade, but I like When I Drive in Your Car, Baby. And I like, you know, Addison Rae. Diet Pepsi song is great. But I know that every aspect of that sonic aesthetic is getting created by somebody. And it like puts you into this box where you have like amazing collaborators, but you don't necessarily have agency.
Totally. I mean, I think that the pop world is very, very different. A lot of those artists, they're not really making the art themselves. They're just like a beautiful face, like singing the song that has been written for them, you know? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, that's not even really like an artist. You're just sort of like the front face of like a whole team of people like making this shit, basically.
Yeah, and they did a great job. Like,
yeah, no shade to the pop artists and the pop world, you know, that It's just kind of different.
Yeah. But like, I'm such a proponent of artists like capitalizing on themselves almost to an exploiting sense, because if you don't do it, they will. You know what I mean? Like, if
Yeah.
you don't do it, if you don't get the money, they'll get the money. So you may as well be the, like, cigar-toting son of a bitch about your own work so that you can reap the rewards of it. And that only comes from valuing who you are.
Yeah. So many like lines are totally blurred now between like what is cool on the underground and then like the like pop world, because everyone's seeing all the same shit on the internet and stuff. It's very hard to be like obscure, like, you know, these pop artists, their like influences are the same as, you know, the underground people. So it's like, maybe not exactly, but basically, you know, things are just happening like simultaneously now, whereas like there used to be more of like a chasm between what was happening in like underground art and like mainstream world.
Well, now it just directly gets ripped. And
Yeah,
that's what this is
right
about.
away. The mainstream will just mine whatever is cool in the underground like right away.
Right away. And that's what I
yeah,
mean. Is
yeah.
like, you kind of need to exploit yourself before they do.
Totally, because they'll rip it off for sure.
Yeah, they'll take it first. So you
Yeah.
need to be like so loud and obnoxious about it just to be like, you have to shank a guy in the jail yard. Be like, stay the fuck away from me, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Travis, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we
Well, always a pleasure, Midas, of course.
Yeah, thank you. And is there anything that you'd like to plug for my audience, your audience?
Not really. I just like came out with a new record on Halloween, which, you know, not super recent, but also kind of recent. It's called Sex Distortion. Yeah, I worked really hard on it, so I definitely like to plug that, I guess. Other than that, I don't know. I'm just always doing my thing, working on stuff.
Alien Body, anything happening with Alien Body?
Yeah, and like a bunch of new shit about to drop actually that's like kind of in the works right now.
Uh-huh.
I did like a whole rip on like Blue Velvet, the movie, but it just like it's like an Alien Body, Blue Velvet kind of thing.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.